Hekithera had been apex predators for over 3 millennia, their sleek obsidian ships cutting through the void like daggers through silk. They had hunted the crystalline Zephyrians to near extinction, savoring the musical screams that resonated from their mineral hearts. The gas-dwelling nebuloids had provided sport for centuries, their bioluminescent terror painting beautiful auroras against the cosmic dark as they fled in vain. Commander Vexhai clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as his hunting pack emerged from hyperspace near the edge of a yellow star system. Intel suggested a new species here, bipedal, carbon-based, calling themselves humans. The preliminary scans were almost insulting. No natural armor, no venomous appendages, no electromagnetic manipulation abilities. Their technology was primitive, barely capable of interstellar travel. "This will be over before the next solar cycle," Vexahai hissed to his pack. "Prepare the terror drones." The first attacks came swift and merciless. Earth's outer colonies crumbled within days. The Kithera's psychological warfare was as refined as their weaponry. They broadcast the screams of their victims across communication networks, painting their ships with the blood of the fallen, leaving survivors just traumatized enough to spread fear. But something unexpected happened on Kepler 442b. Lieutenant Sarah Chen had been conducting a routine geological survey when the attacks began. She watched helplessly through her scope as the Kithera ships descended like mechanical vultures upon the research station. The screams of her colleagues echoed across the comm channels as she lay hidden in a cave system, her heart hammering against her ribs. The smart thing would have been to signal for evacuation, to run like every other species had done. Instead, something ancient and primal stirred within her. Something the Kithera had never encountered in their 3 millennia of hunting. Sarah Chen got angry. While the Kithera celebrated their easy victory, she moved through the shadows of the cave system she'd been mapping for months. Her geological knowledge became tactical intelligence. Her survey equipment became weapons. Her human persistence became something the galaxy had never seen. The first Kithera patrol to enter the caves simply vanished. Vexhai received the report with mild irritation. Communication loss was common in these planetary hunts. Some species had rudimentary jammers. He sent a larger patrol. They found the first patrol's remains scattered throughout the tunnels in a pattern that defied comprehension. The wounds weren't from energy weapons or explosive devices. They looked almost primitive, calculated, personal. "Track the survivor," Vexhai commanded. "Let's see what this human thinks it's doing." What Sarah Chen was doing was something the Kithera couldn't understand. She was adapting. Each encounter taught her more about her enemies. She learned to recognize their electromagnetic signatures, to predict their movement patterns, to exploit their overconfidence. She turned their own tactics against them, using the cave's acoustics to broadcast their death screams back to their ships. She painted warnings on the cave walls in Kithera blood, messages that roughly translated to, "You are not the apex predator here." The hunt that was supposed to last hours stretched into days, then weeks. The Kithera pack, accustomed to quick psychological victories, found themselves trapped in an increasingly nightmarish game of cat and mouse, except they were no longer sure which was which. Sarah had memorized every tunnel, every crevice, every shadow. She struck without warning and vanished like smoke. Her makeshift traps claimed hunter after hunter. She learned to mimic their communication patterns, sending false reports that led them into carefully prepared ambushes. The psychological warfare that had served the Kithera so well became their weakness. Fear was alien to them. They had been the source of it for so long that they had no defense against experiencing it themselves. The unknown became their enemy. Every shadow held potential death. Every sound might herald their destruction. Vexhai himself finally entered the caves, his pride demanding personal satisfaction. He found Sarah Chen waiting in the deepest chamber, surrounded by the carefully arranged remains of his entire hunting pack. She stood covered in their blood, her eyes reflecting a darkness that seemed to swallow light itself. "I studied your tactics," she said, her voice echoing in the chamber. "You rely on fear on the assumption that prey will run, but you made one crucial miscalculation." "What?" Vexhai rasped, his confidence cracking. "Humans don't just fight back," Sarah smiled, and it was the expression that contained 3 million years of successful predation. "We hunt." The battle was brief and decisive. Vexhai, apex predator of the galaxy, fell to a human armed with nothing but geological tools. intimate knowledge of terrain, and an absolutely relentless refusal to be prey. When the rescue ships finally arrived, they found Sarah Chen emerging from the caves carrying Vex-High's communication device. She had already sent a message to the Kithara Fleet Command, a simple video of their supposedly invincible hunting pack's remains, and a single sentence in their own language. "We are coming." The Kithara, for the first time in 3 millennia, learned what it meant to feel hunted. News of the Kepler 442b incident spread through both human space and the wider galaxy. Species that had cowered before the Kithara for generations began to whisper a new word: human. It became synonymous with something the galaxy had thought extinct: hope. The Kithara still hunt, but they no longer announce their presence with such arrogance. They've learned to check the shadows twice, to listen for sounds that don't belong, to fear the dark spaces where humans might be waiting. Because humanity had taught the galaxy a fundamental truth: no matter how perfect a predator you think you are, somewhere in the dark, something is learning to hunt you back. And humans, Sarah Chen had proven, were exceptionally good students.